We can start.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, this is Sunita and she's joining us from Bangalore.
And this is Megha. She's doing it from Mauritius.
Honor and such a pleasure to be co-hosting this monologue today.
And as we are gathered here today evening, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge everything that's happening around us in the world today. And whatever has touched us and has remained in our heart, in our bodies. And as we bring that today into this gathering, into this space, I bow down to the encompassing Mother Earth, to have the capacity to hold all of us and everything that comes in.
I hear you say this word, Sunita, which seems to come from the space of having been deeply moved, because I'm moved by hearing you. I just wonder, how has it been for you these days? Like watching it, like being part of it, and then watching it as a witness and being part of it, because you've been in and out equally. So how's it been for you?
It has been a very moving experience. And it seemed like we are flowing through things which have been difficult, sometimes with ease, sometimes very slow, and sometimes unexpectedly fast. And as we move through all the emotions that has come in the gathering, for me, it also resonates deeply with what my body is waiting to express, have been expressed by others in words and in the sharings of the personal stories. And as I'm sitting today hosting the season of Vagina monologues, and we are nearing to the end of our season, I'm struck by the synchronicity of so many stories, that may not have been lived by me personally, but in some way lived in different experience, but leaving the same emotions. So the body seems to have taken center stage, and it has been difficult to, I think it's difficult as a collective to remain embodied, and I'm going to bring in what's happening in the world and the violence. It's so difficult to not be touched by it. And I sometimes feel that after the pandemic and now this war, being in the body has become even more difficult. There needs to be some place to escape. And that's what we have been used to as well. Garnering facts and figures and gathering all the information. So the sacred space that we all came together under the She Stands Tall project takes on new meaning for me, because we need the earth, the goddess, the mother, the feminine, to be here today with us, to hold. And that's what I've been drawn to as I experience this.
Women, right?
I don't think we can hear you, Megha.
Cannot hear me?
Yes, now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So, shall we start with the piece of today?
So I'll start the piece of today, and yeah, I'll just go through the introduction, and then you all will begin.
So, the piece that we are going to perform today has come out of Ink and Slur when she interviewed a whole group of sex workers. And obviously, women who do sex work have rich, compelling, complex relationship with their vaginas. And in her words, this particular woman blew my mind. She was a sex worker, but she only did sex work with women. You know, when you go out with someone and you think they are in the same zone as you, and 5 minutes into the conversation, you're like, oh my God, that's what it was like with this woman. And you're trying to help you with the right, like I get it. But in your head, you're being blown off and you're hoping your scarf will conceal it. I wrote this piece for her, the woman who loved to make vaginas happy. And this is E. Kinsler, who is bringing the story through us. So I invite Kavya and Preeti.
I love vaginas.
I do not
I
see them
love
as
women.
separate things.
Women pay me to dominate them, to excite them, to make them come.
I did not start out like this. No, to the contrary, I started out as a lawyer. But in my late 30s, I became obsessed with making women happy. It began as a mission of sorts, but then I got involved in it. I got very good at it, kind of brilliant. It was my art. I started getting paid for it. It was as if I had found my calling.
I wore outrageous outfits when I dominated women. Lace and silk and leather. I used props, whips, handcuffs, rope, dildos. There was nothing like this in tax law. There were no props, no excitement, and I hated those blue corporate suits, although I wear them now from time to time in my new line of work, and they serve quite nicely. There were no props in corporate law, no wetness, no dark, mysterious foreplay, no erect nip mounts. But mainly, there was no mourning. Not the kind I'm talking about anyway. That was the key. I see now. Mourning was the thing that ultimately seduced me and got me addicted to making women happy.
When I was a little girl, I used to watch these women making love in movies, making these strange, orgasmic, moaning noises. I would laugh. I used to get a little hysterical. I couldn't believe that such big, outrageous, ungoverned sounds could come out of women.
I longed to mourn. I practiced it in front of a mirror, on a tape recorder, mourning in various keys, various tones. But always when I played it back, it sounded fake. It was vague. It wasn't rooted in anything sexual, really, only in my desire to be sexual.
Then, when I was 10, I had to pee really badly once on a car trip. It went on for almost an hour, and when I finally got to pee in this dirty little gas station, it was so exciting. I moaned as I peed. I couldn't believe it. Me mourning in a Texaco station in the middle of Louisiana. I realized right then that moans are connected with not getting what you want right away, with putting things off.
I realized phones the best, they caught you by surprise. They came out of this deep, hidden, mysterious part of you that was speaking its own language. In fact, uh, I realized that moods were that language.
I became a mourner. It made most men anxious. Frankly, it terrified them. I was loud and they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing. They'd lose focus. Then they'd lose everything.
We couldn't make love in people's homes. The walls were too thin. I got a reputation in my building, and people stared at me with contempt in the elevator. Men thought I was too intense. Some called me insane.
I began to feel bad about mooding. I got all quiet and polite. I made noises into a pillow.
I learned to choke my moan, hold it back like a sneeze.
I began to get headaches and stress related disorders.
I was becoming hopeless when I discovered women.
I discovered that most women loved my moaning. But more importantly, I discovered how deeply excited I got when other women moaned, when I was responsible for other women moaning.
I made love to quiet women, and I found this place inside them, and they shocked themselves in their mourning. I made love to mourners, and they found a deeper, more penetrating moan. It was a kind of surgery, a kind of delicate science, finding the right tempo, the exact location or home of the moan. That's what I called it.
Sometimes I found it over women's skins. Sometimes I snuck up on it, off the record, quietly disarming the sounding alarms and moving in. Sometimes I use force, not the oppressive, violent kind, more like the dominant. I'm going to take you someplace. Just don't worry. Lay back and enjoy the ride kind of force.
Sometimes it was simply mundane. I found the moan before things even started. While we were eating salad or chicken, just casual, just right there, with my fingers. Here it was like that, real simple. In the kitchen, all mixed in with the balsamic vinegar.
Sometimes I used props. I loved props. Sometimes I made the woman find her own moan in front of me. I waited. I stuck it out until she opened herself. I wasn't fooled by the minor, more obvious moans. No, I pushed her further all the way into her power moan.
Then the clit moon. The vaginal moon. Ah, then the double clit vaginal moon. Hmm. Ah,
There's the almost moan, the right on it moan, the elegant moan, the grace snake moan, the wasp moan, The Jewish moan. No, no. The black moan. Oh, shit.
The baby moan. The doggy moan. The uninhibited, militant, bisexual moan. The machine gun moan. The tortured Zen moan. The diva moan. The college moan. I should be studying.
And finally, the single triple orgasmic moon. Ah, 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 ah.
Are we ready to call back the sisters? Just take some time to soak in the words, soak in the sound that be echoing into your own body here and now. Some call back Sunita. Sunita is a creative soul seeking for depth, an eternal learner who believed she was a poet only to discover she is a poem. Kavya. Kavya called herself a red medicine woman, a present in awe of the capacity of the body to teach me about me. And Pretty is born to be free. Very curious because I want to know how was it for you, your own body experience, but also from the mind, because it's like this time this monologue uses a voice in a very different way. Like it's coming from, like I could feel it. Like I heard you, the sounds coming from you, like I could feel my own vagina moving. But it wasn't moving from down to down, it was moving from down to up. So how was it for each one of you?
Yeah, for me especially, I think the last, the orgasm. I had to be completely in my body and feel it, So you're right. I actually felt it like coming, the vagina talking to me in its deep, mysterious language. So, yeah, there is a certain element of truth in the reading today.
It was not easy for me, Mega. Um, and it had to come from a space inside which held safety. And to go to that tiny little space and to voice it out, which was the attempt, which was the attempt as we um, gave voice to the story. And of course, there was a lot of anxiety about whether it would be held in the body and will it come out in my voice. Um, because we are holding something very beautiful, very fragile, um, a, a very lived experience, and making way to the pleasure and the pleasurable sound from deep within. So I am glad to have been a part of this particular story.
Space for what you just said, like it wasn't easy, there was anxiety. And it came from a space in your body where there is safety. And it can only come from there, right?
This is also a very deeply private um, and a very intimate kind of a sound, which you share only with um, the one that you hold very dear to you, and to kind of enact it is a little, it's like making yourself vulnerable, you suddenly in an unsafe space, you don't know how you're going to be perceived. There's a lot of self-judgment also there. But it's strangely liberating in that sense because once you've done it, it's out there, So it's yeah. And like Sunita said, I'm very happy to be part of this story.
And I think maybe it was Sunisa who said that part, like her orgasm, other women's orgasm depended on her own orgasm. Because right now my lungs have opened up. Just witnessing you, sister, for me. So I wonder how it will be for other women and men listening to us. Avia, what about you?
Um, Liberating and safety. Yeah, those are the key words. For me personally, it is liberating um, doing this piece. Like somehow I'm at an age I end up looking at my life in like phases or sections. It's easier now. So I was quite as a teenager and in my early 20s, I was quite free. I wasn't yet bogged down by the narratives of the world. And it's in my 20s that I went to, yeah, dark places. But yeah, I the narratives started taking a hold on me. So, and today, again, I feel like I'm opening up today in the sense this is the phase where I'm able to connect back to, let's say, the maiden, the more liberated and the free uh, woman becoming not a woman, but that girl who was becoming a woman. And yeah, I feel like through this piece I really touched her because there was this playfulness and safety, because in expressing herself and expressing the exciting, naughty, um, like things about conversation surrounding sex and intimacy. Yeah, so I felt that connection. And because for me, in my experience, that's where it started for me, with a group of women. Like that's where we indulged in our curiosity, like where we learned about our bodies with friends at that age. Yeah. And Yes, safety, because I see that when I look back, I see that journey of knowing safety and then knowing uh, what did not feel safe in the body, and then having it, this connects, this piece connects for me with women losing their voice. So like things happen, and things happened to me in my 20s where I lost my voice, and which means I wasn't breathing freely. So I connect with that to the lungs opening up. I was like, like, and it wasn't the nice kind of putting things off that she talks about in this piece, but it was like jamming it. And for me, the most powerful lines are like, I began to get headaches and stress related disorders, which is so true. And I indulge in a lot of breath work practices as a form of, like, I'm still in I like to call myself a breath researcher. And the sigh that we make, just that, not related to orgasm or even the vagina, just this that is so calming for the body. So it's another level of mourning, is another level, another expression of like letting things go, opening up and allowing and inviting and becoming present to that act that you're engaged in. Yeah, it's all, this is all this for me. Yeah, this piece brought all of this for me. And I sit there with this, oh, like you can converse and, mm, ah, ah, mm, yeah.
Like this piece brought this element, not an even element, this quality and state of savoring. Like you're being given a laddu or some sweet or fruit, and instead of just eating it, you're just gonna, I've eaten it, but the juice is still here. I'm gonna allow the remaining juices to go down, and maybe the taste will stay here for weeks. And for me, at the same time, given I'm on an island and there's so much nature around, because when I was listening to the sound the three of you were making, it's interesting. Walk in a forest, you'll hear the trees doing these sounds like, mm, mm, hear that. It's very weird because I think like somebody's playing around, but trees make sound. And when roots crack the shell, it's gonna make you can't hear it, but like scientifically it's proven now it makes sounds. It's very similar to mourning. So I wonder for each one of you, but also this question is for all of us, like, what is my relationship to orgasm? Like,
Mm.
where does orgasm sit for me? Like, embodied, not just orgasm for, like, we had it in the beginning of this conversation, like, get done with it, feel it and get done with it. But like embodied orgasm, where does it sit in your body? What is your relationship?
um Everywhere. I mean, if like, yeah, uh, yeah, everywhere in the body. Uh, for me, like, that's when I would call it an orgasm, when I'm so present to everything in my body. And yeah, and it spreads, that with that it spreads to every part of my body and beyond, and it connects. Yeah, that's, yeah, I want to say everywhere. Orgasm is like, it's like gushes out and then it envelops and se- sensorially, yes, it's like this tingling in every part, but that tingling is like every part of my body saying, hey, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. we all are here. And yeah.
For me, it starts with chasing the moon, and uh,
Like say it in a little bit more detail. Like, what do you mean when you say
chasing the
chasing the
moon.
moon?
Yeah. So I relate to what Kavya was saying about it being about the voice and how a lot of the trauma and the experiences that we carry in our body and the shame of the voice, of pleasurable voices that we carry in our body. It's been long years of work for me also to find my voice. Um, and I was so struck by, if you see little children, the kind of moaning, pleasurable noises that they can make, from eating an ice cream to playing with each other. And I've been so tuned into this because I also have a little daughter and a lot of her friends. And, the kind of noises and the sounds that so naturally come for them as an expression is so much struck and reserved. And a part of the piece says about swallowing it, with the pillow, like, it needs to be held back, and also to be faked is another thing. Um, and I feel that as a woman, it has been a very conscious awakening of the voice, even of the moan, of being able to express pleasure making sound, because it all boils down to be quiet, um, and shame attached to what if someone hears it. Um, and this can be also about, I feel, outside of even sexual pleasure. It can be about making pleasurable sounds in a restaurant, just savoring something, right? So, the most difficult part in the journey of finding some part of the expression of pleasure has been for me the chasing of the moon, you know, to be able to let it out without the head coming and giving all the narratives it's been fed for all these years of how inappropriate, how unladylike, how not okay, be quiet, all of that, coming in the way. So the liberation, it seems like the liberation of the voice.
Yes, like you speak of the voice, like Kavya mentioned earlier, and I so relate because it's part of my everyday life. Like, mm, for me, this is orgasmic. Like, and even this, a lot of women won't do it. Like, even in offices, we'll like shy away from doing it. Even in toilets, we won't do that. And I know women, if we do this in everyday life, then we'll turn around and see, did anybody saw me?
Or stretching and purring, like that. It's it's difficult. Conditioned again and again to be constricted.
Yeah. And I feel again that is also related to not drawing attention towards yourself for safety. So it's all these words are going back and forth like in circles. It's yeah. This this feels so good. I would want to do it on the street, and I think I did something similar as a kid on the street while crossing the road, and I got slapped by my mom. I mean, I did something like this, more not this like this, and she's like, "Don't ever do it in public." And I know for her it came from a place of, okay, be safe, my girl. You're like 13, 14 years old, and like, be safe. So, yeah, that opening all the body, like in the offices and women working in this corporate environment, I can feel it, the sense of safety, not being seen, allowing yourself to be seen only when you need to be seen. Yeah. The, so what is alive for me now is that, so mourning is then present in everything, right? Like Sunita and Megha said, like in everything. So if ASMR is a thing now, like people enjoy watching videos of just and hearing noises of people eating, and it's very popular and it's enjoyable. So when you're watching, um, like Megha earlier mentioned about sympathetic seeing, like when she watched us do the piece, her lungs opened up and she's curious about how that might be for others watching it. In similar vein, there are these YouTube videos of people eating and the noises are highlighted. And when you watch them, or even when you like close your eyes and listen to them, you feel hungry. So it's beautiful how these sounds connect. So you're connecting through sound. So even in that intimate space, the sound is connecting, and connection and freeing you up, like easing you into, like, the act of intimacy is a journey. So it's part of that journey, and the sound is carrying the journey at a level that's a little beyond like physical, I guess. And what also kept coming to me when I was like reading the piece by myself is uh, in the yogic practices, breath practices again, there is a certain you must have, we've all heard this lengthening of spine is an important factor, where you are creating space for the breath to move freely. So, and we agree that through the sound you are allowing the air is moving obviously with the sound. And then I've been also researching some chanting. All of these are connected. The free movement of breath connects from the tip of your spine, which connects to the muscles of your vagina, even clitoris, sorry. So, and I can feel that when I'm really lengthened, I'm pulling, or pulling is a very technical term, but it's literally like I'm caressing myself. So there's already, I'm not in an intimate relation space act, and yet just through this practice of breathing and lengthening my spine, I'm massaging my vagina, massaging my clitoris, and that is enlivening me in a way that is very non-sexual, but it's making me present in a way. So I'm not able to like articulate it. So it connects for me, it connects, all of this connects for me, that how uh, the yoga practice, yoga, embodied yoga practices, which aim at making us more present and available, at least the kind that I practice, relates to intimate acts, relates to the sexuality, and like I can find the connection, and it's very physical, and there is science in it too, how that connects to your gut. If you do that, will pull on your pelvic floor muscles. So, and these are all part of pranayam practices as well. So there is this lovely connection, and then it makes me think that again, by putting on so many restrictions on over the years, over centuries, on women, that sense of freedom and safety in being present in your own body has been taken away. This natural movement which is there, which is possible for us without indulging in these so many practices that we do now to become present, stress free and available, yeah, that has been taken away. And sometimes it makes me feel we are taking this circuitous route back to what is actually just available for us. Mm.
For me, I think my relationship with orgasms is about being authentic in my life, in everything that I do. That being present to whether I'm truly resonating with what I'm doing, why am I doing it, how does it feel in my body, and just sometimes the pleasure or the happiness of doing something, whether it's eating a nice uh, fruit or a really juicy, biting into a really juicy fruit, or doing something, getting a high out of doing something well, that can be orgasmic. It gives you a high which is even better than an orgasm. I think it's all of that, and that leads to my own physical, informs my own physical experience of an orgasm in an intimate act. That each step kind of informs it. Every uh, every little act of foreplay. For me, foreplay is extremely important. Unless I'm in that space, that physically I'm open, I'm ready to receive, I'm feeling emotionally confident and secure with the person, physically and mentally attuned. I can never reach that place of orgasm. I can, just cut off in the middle and say, hey, I can't, I'm not going there. Um, so I guess it's not just one place, or it's like a continuum for me, continuum of so many things, of uh, yeah, of everything in life, and even in that act, how you're with the person, how do you relate to the person, do you feel safe with this person, what's the insecurity, can you come to a place where you're both comfortable with each other in spite of your differences. So it's way beyond the physical, I feel, um, me. And thankfully, I've known some very nice men, very nurturing men who are very comfortable in their own femininity and masculinity. So I guess the initial, when you're young, you kind of judge yourself, you form your judgments by how somebody else treats you or how they look at you. I think I was extremely blessed to have these amazing guys who were really nurturing of me. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence in being true to myself, and choosing my partners and my orgasms. My vagina has been pretty vocal about that.
Interesting how safe and safety show up over and over again.
Yes.
And what I want to add, but it's not like an absolute truth. It's like, and this is where I'm sitting right now. Yeah, there is this thing about safe and safety, and it's not even here. It's here. My nervous system, and you will feel it, and then show up. But at the same time, I believe like my power to have orgasm and to show up was never even taken away. I've been numb from it. Like it's already here. It's always there. It's not even stolen. Nobody took it, but I'm numb from it. And then I feel at the same time, like even just for like let's say we kind of have a level of awareness, right? That's why we're here. That's why we have having this conversation. But at the same time, I feel like we haven't heard this thing that take the seat. Don't wait for the chair. Bring your chair. Like, who are you waiting for? Who are you waiting for to just sit fully in your body? It's not about being with anyone.
Yes.
It's not about having sex with anybody, but who are you waiting for? Like when I see Pretty sitting like she does this, I'm like, how many women allow themselves to do that? Like even Kavya, when you just raise your legs up, like how many of us wait for permission to do that? So
Yeah.
that's something to, I will say, to invite that reflection. Like, who are you waiting for? Whose permission do you need? Whose permission are you waiting for? And it's somewhere here. Who is it? It may be even here.
That's true. There's so much of a good girl, bad girl kind of a, narrative that comes to us when we are younger, especially teenagers and young girls. You're a good girl. So, I find myself doing that with my niece or my niece. If they do something nice, which I agree with, I'll say, "Oh, you're a good girl," or "You're a good boy." I think this good girl, bad boy or bad girl narrative starts. It's the conditioning starts from there. You know that whether permission, where we kind of keep looking for permission from someone else to tell us what to do, what to feel, whether it is okay, and this whole disconnect with one's body, one's sexuality, one's orgasm, one's own pleasure is so prevalent around us that we are so used to our role models are women who are disconnected from themselves. So we don't know because we are experiencing as maidens, we experience our own embodied experience of something else. What you see around is women shunning that, the shunning that very experience. I think that dichotomy somewhere seeps into our psyche and confuses us, and we're like, oh gosh, what am I supposed to do here? Who's going to give me directions? And we don't get in touch with our gut because nobody tells us. Your guide is your gut. It's right here with you. You raised a very pertinent, yeah, it's a very thought provoking. That who gives me the permission to have an orgasm? Because
Permission to I need, yeah. But you know, while you say that,
I just want to welcome Rika into our gathering today. Hi, Rika.
Hi, I'm just enjoying your conversation. I was watching it on Facebook Live, so I haven't been able to do that. So yeah,
what
yeah.
have your experience been like watching all of us? The conversation, the monologue, and then the four of us. What's
I
showing up for you?
it's just joy. Uh, yeah, it's because this was just running here, so I went to my other room with my phone, and I was watching it in the other space, and yeah, just excitement, just to see all of you. Uh, and so I did some Instagram of put it, just it's just and the in the conversations have been so delicious, and this piece is very close because I remember the first time I saw it, I was like absolutely shocked when I first time saw this piece. One of our, I think Christina from my school, I think she did it. I think that she was the head of the department or something of transpersonal psychology. Or she was the one who did this piece. And I was absolutely shocked. First time when I saw this piece performed, I was also in the, other monologues, and she never practiced it. She did it just on the stage. So I never saw her practice it. So it was, I mean, imagine, I never, it was always something very private, right? Mourning is very private. Yeah. And I am, even in my private life, I am a mourner. So my husband would laugh and he would, my ex-husband, he would hush. He would say, hurry. So I could never do it. In my first night was in my husband's house. I would be like, this is not safe. I don't feel safe here. I wouldn't feel safe. So I always, it was absolutely this for me, that how does first night happen in your home? How would women even mourn? Because I was shocked. I said, I cannot, this doesn't work for me. you know this doesn't work for me. So when I first saw this, and this piece has many places where I was like, whoa, you can talk about this, so, and you can perform it in front of like hundreds of people. So it was a huge leap for me. I couldn't even comprehend. That's why when I hosted the monologue last year, when we all organized, I had to do this. It was like almost like walking the plank, no, not walking the plank, that's dying. Not walking the plank, walking the fire walk, just to see, this own, to, and it was not the mourning, that was not the thing, but to host it in a public space with 200, 300 people watching me do it. I mean, when it's dark, you don't see them, but to do it, that was something which was yeah. So that, I think, was a huge thing for me. And now when am sitting here and seeing you guys doing it, I still cannot believe it that I did it. um, so yes, it was something for me to step back and see, what this piece.
And I think my journey started, Rekha, synchronistically with that show of yours where I saw you performing. And this is the piece that just directly went in so deep. And the first thing was that I don't think ever in my life I would be able to voice that.
Yeah.
Was the first thing that came to me. And I think that started, you know, the journey for me. So this is as personal as you are talking about it. I
Yeah.
feel like I was taking a baton from you.
And you picked this without knowing what this piece is, all of it.
Without knowing. Yes, without
Yeah.
knowing.
And then, yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I see meaning in
Yeah.
what transpired and how powerful it can be,
Yeah.
because um, to be able to create even a unsettlement in the body and to check that, okay, what is this,
Yeah.
why is this making my body like erupt in pleasure but my head like absolutely not being okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are these moments which you listen in, and that's what this piece did for me personally.
And I feel sexual orgasm. I mean, I was hearing you guys talk about it. Everything is orgasmic. Everything is orgasmic. I mean, I feel a baby sucking at a mother's breast is the most orgasmic thing that you can think of. I mean, I feel there's nothing more orgasmic than that. Or how a baby bites into your, with its toothless gums, and it tries to eat you. I mean, there's nothing more orgasmic than a baby. I think it's so orgasmic. But there's something about sexual orgasmic movement. I mean, we are, I mean, if we are to, like, even in a film or thing, to watch it, there's something I feel, the gateway is too powerful. It is both life and death. Yeah, because I feel the bodies disappear, so there is a death in that gateway also for two people coming together. That's why that is so sacred, and when others witness it, it shifts it. That can never be performance based. Like, I mean, it was performance work what I did, when I did, I know it's not that. It's not what I'm with a guy or a woman or whoever it is. It's not that moment, because that moment my ego cannot exist. I have to completely lose my identity.
Right.
And that cannot be witnessing. Then it becomes pornographic. then it's pornography. It is performative. It's a very different movement. That's why I think even in our culture, especially in the Indian culture, I feel it's so sacred. The bedroom is a very sacred place. It's just, I don't know when the shame really entered it, but the bedroom, like in the matriarchal some of the old films, you could see how it's, everybody would move, they will tease, but they'll all move away. You have to give them that, that, and you don't even kind of talk about it. You don't want them. You want it, it's their special private thing. You don't even want to ounce 1% of it. So there's something about that, that is a gateway. I feel it's a gateway. And I think if it really stays between those people who are in it, it takes on a different meaning, I feel. It takes on, I mean, if it's really that person that's very like that for you, then I feel it's like for me, some of those moments I don't even want to share with anybody. It's like that. It's something very, and I think that's also important to recognize from any other orgasm and the sounds. And this one, the privacy and the safety of it is of a completely different thing. It is not it cannot be performative at all. Performative, it happens when there is no safety. There is even with a lack of safety, we move into performative. So I think to have that real deal, the safety for both people when they enter into that space is very important. You can't be thinking if somebody is going to hear. That cannot be there. Even an ounce of that cannot exist. And yeah, and how do we really create that in a society where we are so curious about others' orgasm?
And also to add into what you're saying, Rekha, about holding this responsibility of keeping the other happy, at the cost of inauthenticity.
Yeah.
And I think that is also huge collectively. And this piece also brings that out.
Right. Like you talk about like the faking of
it. And I was, reading about something where and women speaking about how it doesn't seem it's so transgenerational in a way that women need to keep the partners happy. And there is a liberation to that in this piece with saying that I found it in the woman who mourns, and my responsibility to make her mourn, ending my own mourning. So
right.
I think without even us knowing or anybody having telling us, it becomes a natural part of the system. That it becomes our responsibility to keep the other person happy at the cost of our own.
Right. Yeah. And yeah. No, go ahead, Sunita.
So to an extent, I feel that we do not even ask our own body.
Yeah.
Which is the next level. When we say a yes or a no. Because it's the yes coming from the head, which has this narrative that it's my job, it's my duty to keep my partner happy, or is actually my body wanting to experience pleasure. So the consent, is not just from the other, but also asking your own, and violation can also be self violation. So that is what resonated for me very strongly with this piece.
And we have to wonder, because we see so much of this portrayed in films, that everyone has an inner image now of stars in sex. I remember initially when I was in my life, would have these images in that moment, and I'm like, like, is this how it is? But for me, it might be completely different, right? Like if I had never seen any films, like my mom, or when I remember when I interviewed my mom, she was so shy, and like she had no image in her head of of an intercourse or a sex action, and it was, I mean, for me, there is no shy, like I have no issues with talking to my mom and dad and learning about, it doesn't make me uncomfortable, it doesn't make me anything, so I remember in my interview, and my mom she said she had such a good time, that's what she said, because she had nothing in her head, she was so clear, because never seen, it was, the old, it's so natural, because you're not seeing, so you go in, when someone touches your body, the response is so, like, it's not imaginative, it's just because there's nothing to imagine, right? It's like a bee and a flower, how there's a innocence also about it. I had to arrive it was not like that. I would have all these images, Sharon Stone from like that, yeah, like a very sexual intimate scene would suddenly come up in my mind. I'm like, what is this doing here right now, like that. I mean, that's just me. I wonder how it is, because at my time it wasn't so. Now, you, my god, the amount of sexuality we see in movies, does it come into us when we are in that? I'm just curious about it. This is something.
Yes, I feel like I do believe the porn industry has distorted what female orgasm is, what
Yeah.
orgasm is, and even for male, and it has done a lot of like I've had like women saying like, um, my husband is saying there's something wrong with me because I do not I'm not wet in this way, or I do not squirt in this way, or I can't do that. And where does it even come from?
Right.
How can there be wrongness in her wetness or squirting or whatever? So
Yeah.
the porn industry has,
Yeah.
and it's performance, like you said, it is performance. It's not embodied.
Yeah, it's not.
No, the body is not even there. The mind is going elsewhere, and yeah,
Yeah. It's interesting, no? It's very, can be curious about this moaning.
And I think that the whole addiction
Yeah.
that comes with it becoming an object to be consumed,
Yeah.
because it becomes an object which does not have life in it,
Yeah.
and it is easy, accessible, and providing it for images which are already existing and you're viewing it, just like screen, right? Where you don't need to live it, you don't need to enliven it, you don't need to even get into your own imagination of it.
Yeah.
It's provided to you, and whatever is provided to you then becomes sacrosanct. And you are actually completely cut off from your body when you're watching something performative like that. And it's only your head that gets
Yeah.
tuned into it. So there's no body. I think it's just such a severing of the body and people's body.
I feel like an
Time. Yeah.
orgasmic woman is like a living, walking, breathing piece of earth, and nobody wants that.
Yeah. Just like the earth, you have to manicure it, pedicure it. You have to, yeah, you have to shape it. It has to look good. Then
Yeah.
you want it. Yeah. You don't, yeah. It's,
With
yeah.
an orgasmic woman, there's no need to shape or anything. It comes how it comes. It goes and comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a fear of her power. There's a fear of a woman. Yeah.
And the woman has all the seasons, right?
Yeah.
Winter, spring, summer, the rains,
Yeah.
everything.
Autumn. Yeah, it's yeah. I think for this piece for me, I think it opens up for women that it's okay for me to claim my moan. I can moan. Moaning is, uh, moaning is okay. Not just anywhere, moaning is okay.
I also want to name what is alive for me here, because my experience has been slightly different, and I'm sure I'm not alone in it. About knowing that that is not you, the image that is being created is not you, what is being expected of you is not you, and
Yeah.
in that, stepping out of that and being like alone. So that has been my experience, being alone, being not accepted.
Yeah.
And because you are not falling into that category, and for me, because it did not resonate with me, I was like, I'll step down. I don't fall in that category. I am a boring person, that's okay. And that has led to loneliness and depression of kinds, which I, because of, I guess, the way I am, I only realized it in hindsight, like, oh, this is depression, and this is what it feels like for not being accepted, and like coming into that awareness. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel that I have always been aware, but I did not know how to hold my own
Mhm.
awareness.
Yeah.
So, and that has been like a learning process for me, in that I've been alone too. And I feel I know a lot of people who are in that space, and with and around that time is when I connected to She Stands Tall and Shakti Ship, and
Yeah.
that is when I slowly learned how to hold hold
Yeah.
space for myself, and hold myself, and being patient and waiting is not the right word, but hold myself as the process unfolds,
Right.
because it doesn't happen like that. So yeah, I want to name it that, yeah, like
Yeah.
sometimes we are aware of ourselves and we feel so alone in that awareness,
Yeah.
because that relating is missing, the world that you've been a part of is not seeing it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And in that, I want to name it that now I feel like maybe I want to bring in appreciation for myself there, that it has been painful, of course, but I could hold my, like, I could stay there, I could like stay with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I feel a little a lot, not a little, vulnerable saying that, because there is this constant other part of me which is like, your experience is not experience of the world. So the pain of other women who haven't, like, when we were speaking of voice, then what kept coming to me was that when there is violation, there is also voice coming out in violation that is not heard,
Right.
like. So I always feel pulled when expressing myself, that
Yeah.
am I worthy in expressing, is this the space for it? I'm always asking that question. So in that, this is very, it's a vulnerable
Yeah.
experience for me to name it, that I have been able to stand my ground and be okay with the backlash that came at me, or being lonely or not fitting in, and being okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For myself, I want to name that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And want to acknowledge that, Kavya. And I so resonate with that. I'm assuming that I'm kind of maybe I'm understanding it. I hope what you're saying. Yeah. And yeah, and I stand with you in what you just shared,
Mm,
in the loneliness. I think my reason of just stepping out of my marriage was that I
mm,
was no longer going to, I was not ready to uh, even compromise an inch, or even a 0.001 inch. I was not ready to do that, because for me it felt that, why is this about compromise? I need
yeah,
time, you need time,
exactly.
I'm here
Yeah,
with you. I want you to be here with me just the way I am. I will be with you how but I don't want to compromise, because I so want to bless your heart for sharing that, because I remember I had consulted with so many other married, who seemingly happy women, and I asked them, is this, what is this? Is this how it is? And every time the answer I would get me, just go through with it.
yeah,
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 it's okay. That's how it is. Men are like that. I was
yeah.
like,
Th- That's
BS.
exactly what I'm meaning, because that's the
Yeah.
advice I would get when I was in that period of
I'm like,
being
men
married.
are
And
not
I was
like that.
like, no, I'm not giving up my 10 years of
Yeah.
my life so that 10 years later, after two
Yeah.
children, I'll be in a position of control. I'm not playing that power game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got me. Yeah,
Yeah. And I
that's
think
what I'm
that's the
meaning.
way. I think women have to really close the legs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that's happened. I've,
have to close our
I've like,
legs.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I know it's
Like,
happening too. I know so many, I know
I
so
was
many.
there was a brief period when I was only thinking, am I asexual? What is this asexual?
Right.
Like I was researching into that, am
Yeah.
I? But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, because we don't, and the only, like how you're saying, right, we give in because we feel, I'm not worthy of getting the whole
Mm,
thing, so I'll take what I get,
mm, mm,
and that's so sad, because that keeps
mm.
continuing. This is never going to stop. It's never going to end. And then we wonder, why is this happening in this world? I always, when I was in the US in my school, we used to talk about this. There has to be a revolution where, for a month, all women in the world close their legs. It's shut down time. Vagina closed. Doors are closed. Get your act together. Yeah. Stop war. Stop. I tell you, we don't realize how much power we have between our legs. Like how, what's phenomenal woman, uh,
Angelo.
Maya Angelou, I have
Mm.
gold mines between my legs. It
Yeah.
is, we have gold mines, and we don't
Yeah,
know how to
and
use the
it's
power of.
not about controlling. It's not
No,
about
it's
closing your legs to control,
no,
but it's about doing away with the misunderstanding. That's
correct.
when that's when the
Right,
misunderstandings come
right.
out there clearly, even
Yeah,
for you, even for the
exactly.
person closing the legs. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Let's meet
vipassana sounds
authentically.
good.
Huh?
I
What's
said
that?
that kind of vipassana sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, that's revolution.
Yeah.
Revolution is that, why is that because see, we are not the ones who are declaring days. We have to, in a revolution, declare days that it's a closed shop day in the vagina world. 1 month or one day, or one day, nothing is going to happen. It has to be a month or something like that. That's the season. It's the vagina, close, or vacation seasons. We are on our own vacation. Something like that. I mean, because, and it's not and as you're saying, it's, and we are not, and I want to say it also to those listening, I'm not saying this to, as a revolution to change, but I'm saying I have to be met also in my needs and who I am and how it is, because I am the one taking everything in. So how I feel is very, very important. It is so important. And 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 we are always the one open to work. We are always the one ready, to pause, slow down, take time, and and I think this is a great conversation just to talk openly about this, that that it has to, yeah. So you're not alone in that, is what Kavya have to say, that standing with you in that.
Mm, mm,
Kavya, thank you so much for bringing this up. I know so many friends of mine who are married for 8, 10 years, 12 years, have had children, and they don't know of an orgasm. They don't know what an orgasm is. They've
Yeah.
never experienced it in their marriage. And it's not,
mm,
oh, I am not exaggerating. And these are close friends I know of. And it was shocking for me when I first learned. Their needs are so totally unmet. And somewhere they themselves think, oh, okay, I have XYZ, he's nice to me, he's a good man. So what if this is not there? This is like
mm,
for
Yeah.
your need to be met is like, you're overstepping. It's always a trade-off. It's like, okay, he's so nice to me, he never stops me to do anything, he's always there for me. So what if this one thing is not there?
Right.
And it's so sad. It's
Yeah.
uh, I mean, I can't even imagine. I can't
Right.
fathom how that feels, and to be and in a monogamous society,
Yeah.
that if you're stepping out, then you're a slut, you're a this, you're a that, and you just have to stay in that marriage unmet and be okay with it. Because that's how it is. That's how so many, like you got told that just stay with it. That's how, just go through with it. So
Right.
that's how the case everywhere.
Yeah.
Your parents will not tell you, okay, step out of the marriage because it does not meet your
But
needs.
yeah.
Nobody will say it.
Yeah.
but
Unfortunately,
I just want to just name my parents here that they did. Just to give them that place, or like, yeah, I want to give them that place in this conversation because they did.
Yeah.
I was blessed in that respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine too. Mine too. I would, yeah, want to voice that. Mine too. And all this, what I'm realizing is we expect so little from men,
Hmm.
and we expect the world from women. This got to
Yeah.
change. There has to be some balance here.
Yeah.
Like if man is kind, we're like, oh my god, he's so kind, he let my mother come and stay with. I literally have people say these sentences, and I'm like, why would he let your mother stay? It's your mother. What is the big deal about it? Wouldn't like, it's not some like, you would give an Oscar just for a man being kind. We would give them the Nobel Peace Prize if we, like, we feel so this, because we have not, that shows sadness, that we haven't seen. Like, men also have to take a step up. We don't have images of men being so kind and vulnerable and feminine, and thinking the other, like, tomorrow we have the men's conversation, right? So I've been
Yeah.
thinking, exploring this, thinking about this a lot, and all these 4 men who are coming, they're phenomenal. So so for me, they are not the norm at all. None of them are the norm. But so many I was looking at in my own head, right? People I know, and I always think that they cannot see anyone beyond them.
yeah.
All these other men I know, they cannot see. They think they are seeing me, but they are not. They are only seeing them again. They are not there at all with me. It's just, I'm going to honest. My God, they think they're getting me, but they are only seeing them. They're in their own. What's going on here? It is such that narcissistic. It is so prevalent in male culture. It is just, I'm seeing you all are nodding, so I'm just, it's not a pigment of my imagination, so
No, no, and I like that you use male culture, like
yeah,
that's bringing in a new space. Yeah, yeah, that's there. It's not them. It's there
yeah,
for, that's acknowledging that
Yeah,
That is not there
beautiful.
in their circle of movement or circle of influence. And yeah, male culture. Yeah.
I just want to add to something that really came up for me and being very real for me in my life is that, I've been part of a world which has constantly told me that I expect too much from my partner.
Hmm.
Um, and that, how is it that you expect, what you expect, which according to the larger society is the moon, and you can't
Hmm.
really have the moon, right? You
The
need to,
moon, moon.
the moon, and how difficult, Rekha, it is to say that no, but this is my normal expectation, right? I mean, because I'm sharing my life with somebody and I expect the person to meet me where I am. And and even till today, and I know that you know part of my story, but even till today, I don't think that it is. And I keep telling women that please expect,
Yeah,
because this expectation is not too much.
right,
It's no, this expectation is not too much, right? If you are able to put a certain energy
right.
into the relationship and surrender to make the relationship work, then expecting the other person to put in as much work into it
Right.
and meeting somewhere is the most important. And it goes against what most, like you said, even married women, people who give advices about how to hold marriages and how to hold relationships
Yeah,
tell you that, oh my God, it is, this person is so exceptional because
yeah,
he does exactly what you do, but you are not, you know. And I think for me it was very important to not compromise and
yeah,
to have these expectations, because it's important that your child learns, what to expect and what not to expect.
yeah.
And her norm suffers, right?
Right.
And so to create a new normal is very, very important, where I feel that we do need to expect more
Yeah.
from men, and I do not believe that they are not capable of it, or they don't have it in them. It's, yes, trauma has made both men and women stunted in multiple ways, but there does need to be opportunities, right? And if
Yeah.
it is not even expected, then I don't even think there is a space to even start the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it very deeply resonated for me, what both of you are talking about. It my own journey about being told that my expectations are not real, are not um, something which has a place, you know.
And I wish to also say that your partner is one of the men tomorrow.
I'm very much aware.
I am so I also kind of feel, um, there's a part of me which is so this about like putting the whole world of men on these four men's shoulders. It's so, I mean, just imagine how starved the feminine in me is, and I have to keep telling her, relax. No, they are four men. there are nearly 3 billion men in the world. They are just four. They are four. It's like this thing. I think yeah. So so I think we are beginning some conversation. I feel something because it's a full circle with the men's circle that we like had hosted 2 or 3 years ago, and that's where I actually met Asim and Shiva. And then now there is Biradri, who is hosting men's circle from a year in India. So it's like this cyclic, I don't know, it's a circle, it's something. So, and yeah, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful at least in the coming generation we see some movement. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if in my life I will see it. I'm not that hopeful, uh, you know, uh, but I hope that all this happening in the world right now, when I see Putin, I wonder what's happening with this man. Like it's the what's going on with this person? It's like, what's going on? Like, it's just, yeah. So you start seeing this, right? It's, yeah, yeah, yeah. It brings sadness. Yeah.
And to tell you how my mother reacted to this. So I was seeing her day before yesterday, and I told her I'm participating in Vagina Guru Laws, a reading. I said, do you want to hear one of the audios that I have of a story that I've read? She said, no, 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 no. She became apoplectic. She's like, no, no, I can't. I said, why? What is this vagina thing? I said, you don't know what a vagina is? And she's an MSc biology, huh? So I said, you don't know what a vagina is? She says, no, no, it's sexual. I don't want to. She ran away. She actually ran away to her friend's house. Like, this girl is going to make me sit here and listen to it. And I was like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the level of also pain also, I guess, in that. I wonder what's there for, and then there are many women like that. I'm sure there's so many. Yeah, so many like that.
It's
Yeah,
sad. Thought that would help kind of bring us closer, but it
yeah,
can. It didn't.
yeah, it's, yeah, yeah. So we just take a moment here, just, yeah, it's also this sadness I sense.
Is it okay if I invite everyone into a
Yeah.
ah,
Hmm. Hmm.